After 6 years of marriage, my world came crashing down with a single, unexpected revelation. My wife, without warning, told me that she no longer wanted any physical intimacy between us. The words hit me like a punch to the gut, knocking the wind out of me. I sat there, stunned, unable to fully grasp what she was saying. How could this be happening? How had we gone from being so deeply connected to this sudden, cold detachment? For a while, I had noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She seemed more distant, less engaged in our conversations. The warmth in her eyes, the spark in her laughter, both had slowly faded. But I brushed it off, convincing myself that it was just a phase, that things would eventually go back to normal. I told myself that every couple goes through rough patches, that stress or routine might be weighing on her. But sitting there, hearing her say it outright, I realized I had ignored all the warning signs. I replayed every little moment I had dismissed, the way she had stopped reaching for my hand when we walked together, the way our conversations had become more about logistics and responsibilities rather than dreams and desires. There was a time when we would stay up late into the night, talking about our fears, our hopes, our plans for future. Those deep, intimate conversations had been replaced with polite exchanges, the kind you'd have with a stranger rather than a spouse. Our connection had withered away, like a flame burning lower and lower until it was barely flickering. Desperate to understand what had changed, I tried talking to her. I asked if something was wrong, if there was anything I could do, if we should seek counseling. But she shut me down every time. She didn't want to discuss it. She didn't want to fix it. She just wanted space, autonomy, and she wanted me to stop pushing. It felt like I was talking to a brick wall. No matter what I said, nothing seemed to matter. As weeks passed, our home no longer felt like a home. We became two strangers living under the same roof, passing each other in silence, avoiding eye contact. The warmth, the love, the partnership, all of it had faded, leaving behind an unbearable emptiness. I felt isolated, drowning in a sea of silence. I tried to keep busy, to distract myself, but the loneliness never left me. It followed me everywhere, gnawing at me from the inside. One day, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. Something had to change. If my marriage was slipping away, then I needed to at least hold on to myself. I started with small steps, going for runs in the morning. At first, it was just a way to clear my mind, to have an outlet for my frustration. But as the days went on, it became more than that. The physical effort, the steady rhythm of my feet hitting the pavement, gave me a sense of control. Each mile I ran made me feel a little stronger, not just physically, but emotionally too. I also dusted off my old camera, something I hadn't touched in years. Photography had once been a passion of mine, but somewhere along the way, I had let it slip away. Now, I use it as a way to see the world differently. I started noticing the little things, the way the morning light painted the sky in shades of pink and orange, the way the leaves rustled in the wind. It reminded me that there was still beauty in the world, even if my marriage felt like it was falling apart. Reaching out to old friends was another step. I had been so wrapped up in my relationship that I had lost touch with people who once meant a lot to me. Reconnecting with them was like a breath of fresh air. They reminded me of who I was outside of my marriage. Their support, their laughter, their stories. They helped me remember that I was more than just a husband in a struggling relationship. As I focused on myself, something surprising happened. I started excelling at work. Projects that once felt overwhelming suddenly clicked into place. My confidence grew, and with it came a newfound sense of purpose. For the first time in years, I wasn't just going through the motions. I was truly living. My wife noticed a change, too. She started asking about my day, showing interest in my photography, even complimenting my accomplishments. I could see something shift in her, a mix of curiosity, maybe even jealousy, and perhaps a hint of regret. It was complicated. After so much distance, so much hurt, I wasn't sure what to make of it. Then, one evening, after weeks of the strange, silent dance, we finally sat down and had an honest conversation. It wasn't easy. We both had to be vulnerable, to admit how much we had changed, how far apart we had drifted. I told her how lonely I had felt, how much I missed the connection we once shared. She opened up too, sharing her own struggles, explaining why she had pulled away. It was painful, but it was also cathartic. For the first time in years, we were truly listening to each other. That conversation led us to a difficult decision, a trial separation. It wasn't what either of us had envisioned when we got married, but it felt necessary. We needed space to figure out who we were, what we wanted, and whether we still had a future together. The idea terrified me. I didn't know what life apart would look like, and the thought of losing her completely was overwhelming. But at the same time, I felt a sense of relief. For the first time in a long time, I was taking control of my own life. During the separation, I continued to focus on myself. I threw myself into my passions, my friendships, and even took up traveling, something I had always wanted to do but never prioritized. I started journaling, processing my emotions in ways I had never done before. I began to see myself differently, not as half a broken marriage, but as a whole person with dreams, ambitions, and a future of my own. I realized that I didn't need someone else to complete me. I was enough on my own. My wife took the time to reflect as well. She started therapy, something she had resisted for years, and began exploring her own needs and desires. We didn't talk much during that time, but when we did, it was clear that we were both growing, changing in ways neither of us had expected. In the end, our separation didn't bring us back together, but it did bring us clarity. We came to understand that we were no longer the same people who had fallen in love all those years ago. With heavy hearts but mutual respect, we decided to part ways. Not as enemies, but as two people who had shared something beautiful and were now ready to move forward separately. It was bittersweet. There was grief, of course, but there was also freedom. Looking back, I see that time as a turning point in my life. It was painful, but it also led to incredible growth. I learned to value myself, to embrace my independence, and to find joy in the little things. My marriage may have ended, but in its place, I discovered a stronger, more resilient version of myself. And for that, I will always be grateful.